Come on, BTC.
There we go. Oh, I've changed a lot. There we go. So, hello everyone, welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Brogan. Today we're doing another simple signal stream. I seem to have clicked the go live button on my screen, but anyway, besides the point. We've actually, I decided to do the stream today because, as you may be able to see on the screen, we are at 70,887 as of recording. Let me turn my headset out, actually. You can see we're at 70,894 right now. Obviously, you know, as I said on last stream, if we went up towards the higher ranges and we actually broke out towards the higher ranges, which I expected, then I would do the stream today. And lo and behold, we have, you know, finally broken out, as you can see, all green on Bitcoin on every single time frame. So very good. So welcome to everybody watching the stream. Hopefully you're having a great day. If you need any links or anything which I might either allude to or anything, you know, you want to interact with us, just scroll down, go to the description. There's all the links there of all the names and whatnot. And also, while you're down there, you know, consider liking, you know, subscribing, following, and yeah, I think we'll just get into it. I don't want to waste any more time with these intros. I just want to get into it and just be efficient as possible. So 70,943. We're all over the place right now. Obviously, we'll be going to the charts. Also, I've got a new microphone. So because the problem is the other microphone I had, it was down here, and I speak this way, and it just wasn't picking up the voice properly. So hopefully, the voice sounds pretty good. So anyway, let's go on to it. So Ethereum nearly $3,800 right now, pretty crazy, up all time. Obviously not as up, to be fair, as we see, but we were in that range as we talked about last stream as well. So going on to the charts, that's probably the explanation. I haven't really looked at the only chart I've looked at today is Bitcoin. That's the only thing I know of so far, and we've been doing pretty well in that. However, I haven't looked at Ethereum yet, so I can probably explain it with the range that we've been in since, you know, last stream. So yeah, I guess we'll have a look in a minute. BNB at $701. BNB's been an absolute roar. You know what? I might have a look at that this stream as well. Solana 172, nearly $173. Very good as well. You know, all pretty good, all pretty up. You know, every single coin in these regards, all up every single time frame. Very, very positive, very good. Very, very good day today, I suppose. So let's just go on to the charts and not waste any more time. So we can see right now, this is the messy, to be fair, the messy, but right chart. For the daily on Bitcoin. As I always, you know, explain on every single stream I do, pretty much if I do, you know, kind of TA where I draw a pen and kind of show the movement, I always explain it's not a time frame based thing, it's more of a movement based thing. I just draw these where the room is so we can show kind of what the movement's going to be. And as you can see, we've come up to, if I move it across, and kind of show you where we've kind of been coming from and how high we've come. We have pretty much exactly bounced off of my area, which was about 71,394. To be precise, if I get a bit closer, we bounced off, I believe it's like 3.7 something. If I go to it, you can see, yeah, 3.76. So 3.76, basically very, very close to my white line. And the order block we have on the daily pretty much on big here. And, whoops. And the bearish breaker block, which we also have had since, both of them pretty much since the 13th of March, which is great as well. So this, you know, I'm not surprised we didn't break above this, because this is huge, huge resistance. Hopefully the mic is good as well. I think it is. I'm seeing a lot of clear messages. If it's too loud, just let me know. I'm still figuring out the levels of it as well. However, while I'm on it, I will look at the comments as well. I'm here at Thursday morning, but still up. Finished my last bit. Very, very good, Peter. Yeah, well, anyways, I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you're all here. So we can see, if I go to the smaller time frames, I did explain as well the reason why I thought we would kind of come back down to test. And this is important. This is what I've already talked about on my streams as well. And this is what we needed to do. You know, I've shown previously in other streams the reason why we might go above an order block and come right back down, and why it's a failure and why we just completely fail. And my kind of really big gripe and my emphasis from last stream and the importance of bouncing off this mid area and basically bouncing off the order block, we have done it. You know, this is a really, really good sign. Really good sign. Basically saying we need to change an order block into a breaker block or whatever, or some people call it mitigation block. I don't really know. To basically flip the order block into a bullish or a support or resistance level, you need to come back to test it. And obviously in this case, you see we surged above it, and we came back to test the midpoint, and now we are using it. You see, we are using the top line of it now. We are properly using it as support, which is really, really good sign. you need to be doing this when you're surging above order blocks. Same way here. We were able to use this order block because we came up and then we came right back to it and basically used its support, and we are now using its support level. But I will go back. I'm not gonna go back right now. I mean, this is a slight good example. We came up, you see, we surged above it here, but then a couple of candles, we continued to surge above, and we never. This is the 1 hour, so obviously you need to kind of come back to test it pretty fast. We never really came out to test it properly, and we also never came to the midpoint, which is normally where you want to go to. And obviously in this case, we did bounce off the top point, to be fair, but we came right back down. So I'm glad we've bounced how we have off. You can see here, we came up, we came right towards the midpoint. So very, very important thing we had to do, which has been done on Bitcoin. So I'm very happy about that. The second thing I want to point out as well was this line. This was a high liquidity point, which I knew we were going to have sells above here. Obviously, we came above. I'm more alluding to here. My movement basically was we came up, bounced off the top end of things, or came up, and then basically printed above this line, and then came back down. Which is why I was quite confident that we would test the order block, which I was talking about last stream as well, because I was aware of the fact that it was a high liquidity point where we'd slightly print above it and then have sells, which brought us down to the midpoint of the order block, which then meant the order block became a support point. So I'm just very happy, all in all, just very happy that all that came true, because it now means that this big old order block is now support. And as you can see, we are also using this white line because we've surpassed it now, because we kind of, as people may say, depending on what strategy you use, we sweeped it for the sells, and now we are, we bounced and came back up, and now we can actually surpass it. So the next point now is 71,393. Currently now using 7729 as support, kind of now in the mid range. So we're kind of just in the mid range, like I said. So I'm probably gonna go to the 4 hour now, just to give an overall area. You can see, bouncing very, very good here. So where do we go from here? Well, my prediction was, obviously, again, as I always talk about, this is like a quick thing anyway. This is more on a daily anyway. So I think we still have a bit of a bounce going here. I don't know how confident I am in that we surge all the way upwards towards 72,730 in terms of a print or anything like that. It's more so of a, maybe a wick or two or something like that coming up towards these high points near, 73, 72, 600 or whatever it may be. Obviously, I don't think I don't know if this is the new age of Bitcoin. We're starting to go towards 90k or anything like that. Because, we still have a bit of a downwards trend going on over here. But obviously, we do have, there's many lines you can be drawing right now. If I draw this properly. We have bounce. You can see this was a good thing. So if we bring this upwards, it's very messy. I'm probably going to delete this in a minute. Coming towards where we are right now, if we do bounce and come back down, you can see we can basically meet at this area here. So if we have this kind of bounce and do this, we will meet at this midpoint, and then allow it, as we've seen previously, bouncing off this line normally means a big pump in Bitcoin. So you see here, coming to this line, big pump, coming to this line, big pump, coming to the line, obviously having the pump as we speak. So I think we might have a quick touch of this line after we have a little bit of a crab in this range, and I think it might allow us to continue. So, but since the 1st of May, we've been in this uptrend, higher lows for Bitcoin. So I think as long as we continue that, I'm going to delete this trend line though. I'm going to delete some of these lines because they've came true, which is good. I'm just going to delete some of these because they're a bit messy, and then I'm just going to have this trend line, which is what we're going to be focusing on for the coming, I suppose, days for Bitcoin. So I do think we have a bit of a crab in this range, just kind of solidify where we are. In terms of market cipher, momentum isn't a significant point or anything like that. We are overbought for the RSI. Money flow is still coming in. The VWAP is starting to kind of be a bit hoverish right now, but I don't expect us to arc for momentum above the 60 mark, aka meaning a significant sell point. I just think we're going to be crabbing within this range, and basically we're going to eventually touch this positive trend line and then surge upwards, hopefully, which was the next part of my trend line, which I drew. As you can see, or as before I deleted it, we had that kind of movement. So hopefully we continue crabbing and then touch this line and then bounce and then see higher points. Again, like I said, I don't know if this is the turning point for Bitcoin. Will we break 73,106 and especially 74,406? These are high price points which we've had for a while now. Will we break these? We're gonna have to see when we get there and see what the market condition is as we proceed. In terms of RSI, I'm trying to see if there's some sort of I don't really see any like divergences per se. Doesn't really look like we have anything like a continuation. It'd be great if we had a hidden divergence, but I don't believe so. These are both coming down. If we go to the bottom as well, these are both pretty much doing the same movement. So nothing in terms of the RSI aspect of things. Market Sapphire isn't really telling us a lot, aka meaning I think we just continue onwards. Let me go to the comments now, have a little look. The chart means nothing to me. Also not moving charts. I do my head in. Yeah, to be fair enough. That is fair enough. Looking at charts on alts is a very hard task, to be fair. I mean, it takes it out of me as well, because man, it's just a lot of the time, depending on where you're looking at these alts, you know, if you're looking on a platform, for me anyway, I don't have any of my tools. It is, you know, bringing it back to the basics, and then a lot of the time it can just invalidate. There's a lot of invalidation when it comes to alts. It is a very difficult task. Line my ass don't make crypto go up. Well, I mean, there are trend lines. I mean, it is a. To be fair, I mean, obviously you can trade based on just looking at data, but you know, trend lines, they are based on a pattern. And what are patterns? Well, patterns are based on human things. You know, humans are patterns, and prices. I'm kind of explaining it badly, but you know, price is based on human interaction with this. In this case, Bitcoin. And humans follow patterns pretty well, as we are part of nature. You know, Fibonacci, that's why Fibonacci is heavily used, because we are part of nature. And moon cycles, if you go into that aspect of things. So trend lines, I don't see how they don't make sense. They work, you know, in most strategies, you know, trend lines are applied in some regard. Trend lines are kind of the general thing everyone can agree on, as, you know, higher lows, you know, lower highs, etc., this, that, the other. So, I mean, I can't argue with what I've got in front of me. What I've got in front of me is telling me that as soon as we start to come towards the crab area of things, and we start to come towards 70, 250, we're going to bounce again before, you know, after we crab. So, you know, if you don't need that, I don't need trust to tell me that Solid's a great buy. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, people can trade just based off news, but I don't know. You know, I mean, that is their prerogative at the end of the day. Let me actually make this a bit better. There we go. So what it could actually happen as well is we have some sort of wick. That is a secondary option as well. After we have our, you know, couple prints, after we, you know, kind of crab and bounce, we could wick, you know, down to test below, and then it'll surge back upwards. Basically, you know, and this is the daily, by the way. Obviously, we have surged below anyway on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. So I'm just talking about the daily here, where across the daily, we could wick down towards lower parts of 69, you know, 800, just to test that the order block is a formed thing on the daily. Obviously, once bouncing off that, continuing this trend line and bouncing off it, we could see some more movement, you know, upwards for Bitcoin, which I hope so for anyway, which is also what I drew anyway, as I had this coming up towards, you know, 73, 72, 800, wherever. But anyway, I think that's it for Bitcoin. There's actually, most of what I'm going to be doing today in terms of charts is actually just going to be updating what we've had, because you know, the big TA aspects of things. This stream's kind of just showing us, you know, what's happened due to the TA. Well, not due to the TA, but, you know, as of the result of TA from last stream. So there's not really going to be a lot of new stuff to look at, because it's kind of just us following the TA, which we've already done. So, like I said, you know, the majority of it either finding new trend lines, new buy or sell areas, or new resistance support points, especially on coins like Beer, which they're doing a price discovery, seeing what sort of resistance points we might have. There's not going to be a lot of additional. It's going to be, we're going to cool off for a bit. That's all I kind of expect. We're going to be, you know, we've come up pretty far. I expect it to cool off, aka kind of crabbing, and then, you know, bouncing off this trend line and then coming upstream is lagging. So yeah, still. In our range. Okay, it's unfroze. Okay, I don't know if we just froze then on the stream. If we did, my stream of software just froze. If not, if it's back, we onto Ethereum now. And I'm not really too surprised at what's going on. Yeah, okay, good. So I'm gonna go to the short time frames. So it seems like we had the midpoint within the midpoint, and I'm also not surprised about the pump because of the fact we had the order block. Many things I've already talked about on the last stream anyway. So if you go towards the lower time frames, like here, okay, this is actually a pretty bad version of the trend line. There we go. Let me shimmy this across. Obviously, you can draw these trend lines on the high time frames, but it's also nice to go on the short. So you can see we're still in this range. Whoops. Okay, there we go. I think I just deleted it by accident. There we go. Yeah, we go. So we're still in this trend. You can see we're continuing to move. Obviously, probably on the moving down aspects of things now. However, we do have this big old order block, which we've had for quite a while now. So I'm not very surprised we haven't really pumped too crazy. Obviously, you expect with Bitcoin, the whole market in general will be moving. But I think surpassing this order block is an individual Ethereum, and especially seeing as though, each coin, they not necessarily have to follow each other. They are their own coins. They can do kind of a different thing from each other. Although I did expect or hope for that was to break out towards 4,000. I think this is a negative, like a bear flag, but I don't expect us to really crash for Ethereum. Even if we did, it would only be coming down towards 3,700 or 3,700. Sorry, I don't expect us to come any lower than that. But I would have hoped that the market pumping would have allowed Ethereum to start to come upwards and try and test above the order block. But you can see testing. But obviously, we streamed on, I believe it was Monday. I think we streamed, right? So I think we were roughly here. So yeah, we still had these tops here, obviously nearing this one as well, but we still have the trend line, which is causing us to have difficulty above these lines anyway. And we're just basically bouncing off this kind of order block. So I think we just come back down towards 3,750 to follow this trend. I don't see us breaking out the trend. I don't see anything telling us we should break out the trend. You can see with Market Cipher as well, we're having these a lot of green dot, red dots, suggesting we're kind of in this small trend, which we are in a small trend of a bigger trend, as we've seen on the high time frames anyway. So I think all it is a matter of is following the bottom trend line across to the order block. And you can see that would cause us to have an expanding triangle. So I think eventually we are going to break out of this. I believe it's expanding triangle. Obviously, if I go to chart patterns, obviously I'm not explaining the chart pattern. I'm just making sure that I am talking about the right thing here. If I go to, that's not what I wanted to open. But open the image up, you can see ascending triangle here it is. So coming from a high point. Okay, so it actually comes from a high point from a low point instead. So there's actually no chart pattern for that. Obviously, you have to get your specifics. This is why I always like to check chart patterns, even though I'm an avid user of chart patterns. I always want to make sure I bring them up to make sure I'm actually talking about the right thing and I'm being correct. So technically, there's no ascending triangle here. So there doesn't necessarily have to be a breakout in terms of coming above the order block, and especially chart patterns are never 100% accurate anyway. So the two options are I think we continue in this higher low uptrend towards 38.22 and getting closer in this area, and either we break out or we come back down towards 3,700 to test. I would hope as Bitcoin kind of moves upwards and does its thing, I think we're going to continue to be in a bullish trend. So I think that would allow for there to be like a bullish spin on how Ethereum acts in terms of this kind of chart pattern. So I think as long as Bitcoin's doing its thing, which I expect it to do, we're going to be continuing in this trend, and hopefully we break out of it and continue upwards, allowing us to bounce off 4,000 and then maybe coming upwards and, I don't know, printing above here and, causing some of it. Actually, let me bring that down to here as well. This is more important. There we go. So, coming down towards these price points and seeing some positive trend eventually come out of this and come upwards towards higher price points for Ethereum. So this is what I'm kind of hoping for Ethereum. I don't think this is too much to ask for. This is on my Christmas list anyway. So let me zoom in on the daily though. We can see on Market Cipher. Again, similar situation with Bitcoin, the momentum isn't really in a significant point where we should be concerned. Money flow is coming in and VUP is coming in, so I think we continue to go upwards. Anyway, again, we're in a bull trend anyway. I think we just continue to go upwards. And I think that's kind of it for Ethereum. Like I said, there's not going to be a lot of updating. Because, especially with Ethereum, we haven't really broken out or anything. I think it's just a continuation of what we're doing. If you don't make a tax on money, I'll send that extra go and get I wouldn't do that. I think we have a lot of positives to come. If it's not very soon, if it will definitely be in the future. Yeah, I would advise that. Obviously, don't drink and take anything. Life advice there, whatever. But as Mike has said throughout. And hidden agendas as well, as Mike has been saying, and as I've been saying, we still have the overall macro movement to be expected in the market. Obviously, things might look down right now if you zoom in and look at it closely. But I mean, obviously, it depends what your portfolio is set up as. But in the coming, year, we're going to be seeing a lot of positive movement from the market, especially with these big coins. It might not look like we're moving a lot now, but if you look in the largest time frame of things, we're going to be moving up very, very high for these things. So, I would stick it out. I don't see any reason to take extremes, and just keep going, keep your head up. As Hidden Gem said, keep your chin up, man. You can't lose forever, you can't win forever. I think as long as you're not doing anything in ill-minded manner, and you're trading with a sharp and calm mind, I think things will go well. Obviously, it depends on what you're doing. To be fair, like I said, if you're just putting all your money in alts or really low cap coins which have a whole lot of risk to them, then hey, not financial advice. Do what you want. To be fair, but anyway, I think I'm going to move on to Ethereum now. I think that's kind of it. We've got this kind of turning point, 14th of June. Friday next week. Or maybe middle of next week, next week basically. In 7 days, we've got this kind of area. Expect us to come upwards. Hopefully, anyway. See what the market does with Bitcoin and see how we move from there. I don't ever like saying we could go up, we could go down, because I feel like I'm cheating. However, like I said, we're gonna have to see what the market is doing in a week's time. I do expect Bitcoin to be holding some of these high prices anyway, bringing us this kind of continuous bull manner, which would allow probably Ethereum to have more of a bullish bias and break out towards 4,000, or not, blow up towards 4,000, but have a steady higher low towards 4,000. Anyways, I hope we don't fall down. If we do, again, we're only going to be falling towards about 3,700. Again, 3% move down. It's not nice for Ethereum, but it's not anything too terrible. So I think we now actually, I haven't. I'm trying to keep my charts cleaner, and I haven't really shown simple significance. I mean, yeah, there's no surprise here. I'm not very surprised that there's these sorts of levels on these areas, especially this mid one. Problem is with simple significance, I just draw the right things. I always seem to be drawing the right order blocks, and they just seem to be appearing. So, hey, what can you do? So actually, let's quickly also look at some of these. So we're straying quite far away from our 200-day EMA. It is sitting roughly at about this order block at 3,524. Obviously, this is a longer time frame thing to be paying attention to. I suppose if you look on the grand scheme of things, you've kind of got this, but this was drawn from a news-based, outside of price action, news. Obviously, with the ETFs and whatnot. So we can't really look at this as a Bart Simpson, and that this wasn't really price action. This was something based outside of the market, so we can't really look at that, unfortunately. So I'm going to ignore that as my professional opinion. Anyway, I'm going to move on. That's kind of what I think for Ethereum. I want to keep this swift. Going on to Solana now. I think Solana looks pretty good. I think we had a trend line just keeping us below. Yeah, we did. We have lines, a lot of lines. There you go. You see, look at that. That is beautiful. Yeah, that's actually really, really good. You can see high point of liquidity coming to it, printing slightly above it, causing sells. Very nice there. Obviously, now keeping 172.23, which I've had as a trend line or as a support point for a lot of time anyway. We'll sort of get over $300 by December. Well, if I go to the daily, actually, the daily will take a long time to look at. Actually, no, it won't. To be fair, well, to be fair, we do. Okay, we haven't moved as of this. Well, okay, I don't know if some of you might have been on that stream as I've talked about it, but we talked about an article which kind of expected Solana to go towards the end of the year to about $400. I drew this. Obviously, it had to have kind of arced, which hasn't really done because we pumped in the market. But I can't remember what the TA was it exactly on. I can't remember. I can't remember what the reasoning was. But basically, all in all, there was reasoning to suggest that we should be coming towards $400 by December. And I really don't think that's too hard to ask for. I don't really think that's something like an impossible task. I wouldn't be surprised if we came to $400 by the end of the year. So for your question, would it go over $300 in by December? Well, based on TA I've already drawn and other things I've talked about previously, it has suggested to me that we could go towards $400 by December time. Obviously, not financial advice. Don't take anything I say with complete confirmation. I'm not some sort of wizard which knows everything which is going on in the future. I can only go off previous price action. But in my other previous TA, it has suggested that we should go towards $400 by the end of the year. So I would agree. I would say we could go well over $300 by the end of the year. But anyway, going towards what we're doing right now. So you can see high point liquidity, we printed above it, we reversed, but obviously we had a low support point. We had a close support point anyway, so now we're kind of just in this range for Solana. We have a green dot actually when we have high coming up VWAP and money flow is really coming in, so very good positivity. We have already printed above this point of kind of my brain just fight then. We have already printed above this high point in Solana, for Solana. So I would expect us to kind of surpass this and kind of have a positive trend, in our hands coming upwards for Solana. But you could argue that depending on what we do right now, there could be some sort of pennant going on, which would be good news, seeing as though coming from this pennant, it would bring us up towards $180. I swear I've already talked about this. Oh, would you look at that? That is crazy, actually. That is really, really, really interesting. Another high point of liquidity I've already talked about coming up to it, suggested by this pattern. That is actually really, really cool. That is crazy. That is, you know what? That feels too perfect. So by this pennant, it suggests to us we should come up towards this area. I wouldn't be surprised if we print slightly above it though, and then come back to this order block to test, which would then allow us to have this order block as a support point, as I've explained with Bitcoin. If you've just joined us though, obviously I'll explain it. You need to come back to test order blocks really fast, otherwise you ignore them. So this would actually allow us, and give me faith anyway, that we'd actually use this order block as support at $179. So we could have an incoming really big positive move for Ethereum. Solana, sorry. That does depend though. This is on the 1 hour. It depends on the 33 minute. In 33 minutes, if we print below this and we continue in this pennant, we could break out. Obviously, chart patterns are never 100% of the time. Do bear that in mind. If I go to the 4 hour though quickly, yeah, I mean, obviously in the argument of some people who might trade money, smart money techniques or smart money concepts, whatever, they kind of pay attention to draws of liquidity. So kind of the methodology is you go to previous high points of high buy or sell where the market might want to go to. Obviously, if you're in a bullish trend, you're going to be going towards the next high point liquidity, which at first was this one, which we have now kind of surpassing. But the next point lower was around here. Well, in theory, it should be down here, but we're not in a range in that regard, so we should be coming upwards. So we should be going to the next point of liquidity, I suppose, which in theory is this $180. That kind of backs up the statement that we could have this nice little pennant, depending on how we print in the 1 hour, which would bring us towards $180, which is basically where our next point is, which we would then kind of print at and then come down probably to 179 as support point and then surpass it. So probably a latent pump for Solana. Obviously, it depends on what we do. We're not completely oversold. Money flow is really coming in. VUp's really coming upwards. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a really big, nice pump for Solana. Again, it does depend on how we print on the 1 hour. If we print in this pennant and we kind of continue going on and then have this pump, we could be pumping right now for all we know. But regardless, we do have higher lows. Anyway, obviously it does depend. We could break out of this and we could just be in a higher low. If we continue to print higher, let's say it's like this, we would just be in an uptrend anyway. It wouldn't be as high of a movement towards $180, but we would just be in a bull trend anyway, and probably just continue to move upwards like this, surpassing this. Anyway, we've already surpassed this line anyway, so probably coming above it wouldn't be too hard to say anyway. So, like I said, it does depend on how we print on the 1 hour, but, I mean, to be fair, if I go to the 30-minute, we've already been doing this, We've already been in our pennant, so we could be pumping right now. This could be the pump. We've already bounced like 3 times. We could be pumping right now for Solana towards $180. Obviously, on the 30-minute, it's not as high as the liquidity point. But we could be, instead of that, if it does go through right now, in theory, we could be, bouncing off it, comes back to here, printing above it, and then having a higher trend, similar, going upwards. So I think we wait to see what happens on the 1 hour. But to be fair, the 30 minutes about the print, so we might want to watch this. So see what happens in 20 seconds, and then I'm going to move on to beer and see what that's done. 35 minutes into the stream, pretty good. I think we're doing a decent speed right now. Open up some significance, see what's going on, I suppose. Okay, yeah, you can see, yeah, again, there is the same resistance point as the high point, which I already had previously. So, yeah, nothing too surprised there. So we printed it up. Are we going to continue? Is the pendant, are we going to wick back down and invalidate everything? So this is actually, obviously haven't invalidated it on the 1 hour, which is mainly where I found it on. But we could be coming up on the 30 minute. Like I said, we could be coming up. You can see right now, V-up's coming up. Momentum is coming from a negative trend or a negative area. Money flow is really coming in. We could be having a move upwards, yeah, to high points. So I guess we'll see what's going on. Obviously, I'd be careful though. But we could be coming up for Solana right now. Very, very cool. Anyway, I'm going to move on though to beer to see. We actually surpassed my entire expectation drastically. Actually, we really did surpass everything. So what happened was we broke out pretty fast. Actually, we didn't have the ascending triangle. We really did just come right out of the range pretty much immediately. Actually, we do that instead and then get that. There we go. So we completely surpassed it. Obviously, coming from this kind of point. Obviously, we just immediately just broke out of here, coming up to here, and then we've just really just surpassed every sort of expectation. Again, we're having a lot of these ascending triangle things going on here. You know, you can see, you know, ascending triangle, draw this over here, another ascending triangle. So a lot of ascending triangles, it seems like, for Bitcoin. So 2 ascending triangles, and now we're coming up with, this is on the 30 minute. I'm going to go to actually, yeah, I'm going to stay on the 30 minute. So where are we right now? So we're still in we have a bullish trend still, which is nice. I think this is an expanding triangle. To be fair, the trend was more so this. So it kind of looked like we kind of broke out of it. But to be fair, if you can see, if I draw this properly though. I believe this is some sort of expanding triangle, I believe. So you can see coming out of it, coming down now, bouncing off the top point. So we might be coming to another point of support, which was about here. Whoops. Which is about here. So we could be coming back. You can see, you know, we've kind of had the ascending triangle, come back, testing this, could come back down to a support point down here. It could be as high as well as here. This could be another support point, which we've already tested already. So we could come down here. Which we actually had a consistent point here multiple times now. So if we did, there's a bike outside, it's pretty loud. So you can see we had this expanding triangle coming down, could be bouncing. Whoops, I want to draw this as properly as I can. Coming down. So I expect something like this to happen, possibly. So you can see expanding triangle. I believe this anyway, coming from a low point. So I believe this is a proper bearish chop hand coming up, surging downwards, obviously breaking out, bouncing off the trend line, probably coming down now, I'd expect. Obviously the market's in a positive trend anyway, and as you can see, the response of the response of the market being a bit more bullish, obviously you can see is really affected Bitcoin. But anyway, obviously in this trend, breaking out, bouncing off the top point. I would expect it to kind of come down a bit to probably a lower point. That's a lot of I mean, to be fair, you know, in these candles we've been moving 25%, so not very hard to suggest we could come down. Coming down, printing towards maybe 37.75, and then coming back upwards. Obviously it does depend though, because we could now be having lower highs like so if we have bounced. So it could be more of a, you know, like this, doing this, bouncing, printing, bouncing, and then having a pretty negative time. Obviously that's if we didn't break out. So I suppose I would have to watch it. I don't know if we'd surge all the way down, especially if the market's going to be continuously being bullish. I think we're going to have more of a proper retractment though, to make sure we're actually just not unviably up here, and then probably a continuous move upwards. I wouldn't expect it to come down, but this is technically, I believe, a descending triangle coming from a low point. Actually, no, it's not actually. I take that back. But again, still, it's going to be in this kind of rough scenario. I wouldn't expect it to be that negative again, coming back down, you know, maybe towards here in this area. But again, like I said, if the market continues to be bullish, as I think expected with Bitcoin and whatnot, I wouldn't expect us to come down again. I'd probably expect the retractment and make sure we're at a good support point, and then probably a continuous move upwards again for Bitcoin. Yeah, bullish bull. P, just buy Bitcoin if you can't lose out if you're leaving it long. Exactly. That's why I completely agree with that. You know, we were saying with the market, you know, especially we've been saying for a long time on the channel anyway. 2025, November 2025, I believe it is. That's going to be when the proper high of Bitcoin, and that's going to be, you know, some people expect it to be crazy numbers. So again, you know, as I've already spoken with Peter when he commented all that on that. But if you've got a sensible, you know, 60, you know, a normal split. Obviously, you can go and diverge as you please. This is not financial advice, but if you've got a decent split and you've made, you know, got a decent, near enough a half, decent majority in Bitcoin, Ethereum, high coins, then you're going to be successful in the long run. Obviously, not guaranteed. No one has a crystal ball, but pretty guaranteed that you're going to have a lot of positivity coming in next year. And then you can trade how you want with your altcoins. I think you should split it properly though. If you're investing solely in altcoin, again, this is not financial advice. I mean, not paid, not a professional. Again, it depends on how you want to do your trades. I can't stop you from doing anything. You can do completely what you want. But again, I would want to advise, as a non-financial advisor though, that, you know, I wouldn't be investing every single thing into altcoins to try and get really big returns. If you want to be more active in that regard, I'd probably want to do a futures trade. It's a bit more of an involved thing. I'd rather do futures, though, in my opinion, rather than trading lower cap coins with a high amount of risks involved with it. But again, that is your prerogative. Have you invested in beer? I believe we have beer, actually. I believe I said. I think we do have beer. I think we sold it though at a really good high point. I think we sold it in the rough high end. I can't show you. I've already, I think it was on Mike's wallet. I don't have that, you know, on my computer. I believe we did sell at a really good high point, which is great. Obviously, it really surpassed where I expected it to come from. But again, it surpassed the $150 million market cap. And if you've ever watched one of Mike's streams, you would know how important that is. We've surpassed $150 million market cap. No one's really talking about it. I think this is a pretty good gem. And again, once you surpass $150 market cap, you can go wherever you want. And with the giveaways it's doing, Cybertrucks and whatnot, it is pretty crazy. Actually didn't draw this though. We do have this bull trend. But again, I do think we surge a bit below towards 37.70 to print down here and sweep something and then come back upwards. But I think there's a lot of trend lines here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually gonna delete this top one and these because we've already broken out of this. And I think I'm just going to do this and continue. But yeah, we did have. Can you expect a balanced listing of beer? Wait, what? Where'd that comment go? Oh, there it is. Mine did a video. Yeah, he did a video. Can you expect a balanced listing? It's possible. It's on a. Oh, okay. I can't say. I slipped my brain that. I can't say names. It is definitely possible, considering the market cap, considering how popular it's getting, and how well it's been doing. I do think it is a great possibility that it could be listed as one of its possibilities. Again, I actually can't speak a lot on it. Mike might have said it in his video to be fair, or he might say so. Yeah, Hinges, I think so. Like I said, I think it's definitely possible. I don't know if Mike talks about it in his video, but you know, if you haven't seen anything about beer, obviously go watch that video. I would advise it. And if you're interested in many other things, you know, go to Google, search Crypto Warehouse. You'll know where to go. Go to the descriptions. You'll find links there, and check some of the videos. The videos take a lot of time, and they're very, very good. I would advise for the videos. But anyway, yes, this is what I sort of think for beer. Again, I could be very wrong. It is getting a bit of it is being really, really. You know, it's moving quite fast, so we could invalidate these sorts of things and just continue to move outwards. But I do expect us to kind of have a bit of an important retractment to test some proper support. But to be fair, we have already come to support already. But it depends on how we print in the next 20 minutes if we continue this lower highs downwards. But money flow is really coming in. You know, VOP's really coming in. Momentum starting to arc. We could actually get out of this. I just think we should test our kind of bear line or bull line, bullish trend line a bit more. Yeah, again, I think my bias is kind of a lot of positivity in the market. I don't think you can blame me with that though, because we're pretty positive on the whole grand scheme of things, especially with what I think is going on with Bitcoin. But what I have actually forgotten to say today, I have really forgotten to say, is if you've got any coins you want me to cover. I don't know how this slipped my mind. If you've got any coins you want me to do any TA on, preferably they're on TradingView, but if they're not, that's fine. Put them in the chat, please. I'm more on what a certain platform, the red and white logo. If you've got any coins though, please do put it in the chat. What I do want to do though, I do want to try BNB out. Is what I did say near the start. I want to see how the chart's moving because I haven't looked at BNB in a while. I don't think, and it's looking pretty crazy. Let me go on the daily though. Okay, let's not. Okay, actually, I don't think I want to go on the daily. Daily's pretty trash because there's not a lot of data. I'll go to the 1 hour because I can actually draw the trend line roughly. So we started really, you know, ramping up our trend line here, really coming upwards, which is nice. Let me come back to it. Here we go. So where are we bouncing off? Well, it seems like we had our proper area. Oops. We seemingly had 716 as a significant price point for BNB as we bounced off. Which coins do you think have a good upside in the short term? Let me have a think. I'm trying to think of what coins I've covered and what potential they have. I think Bitcoin's good. It depends on what sort of cap you want, so how much return. Obviously, if you're doing some sort of futures, or if you're buying, obviously you want a high return. But if you're doing futures, obviously it'll depend then. Bitcoin's looking pretty good. Obviously, I don't think that's too much of a surprise to anybody. Now, I would. Okay, this is a bit of source. Which I'm good. Where are we right now? What's going on? Are we pumping? Wait, actually, I haven't checked the TA. Boom, boom. What did I say? I actually forgot what I said. Oh yeah, I expected we should come down a bit, but it looks like we're already having our big test, which is really nice, really nice. But okay, okay, I don't want to be wrong here, not cheap. Sorry. I think it's Pipe actually. Okay, so little bit of a thing here. I don't know how valid this was. I used to have really good trades. Okay, well, that just did not happen, did it? I used to have, what I used to do, I haven't done it in a while actually, was I would do TL on Bitcoin, and then basically Pipe would really, I don't know how well that is, I haven't tried Pipe in ages to be fair, but Pipe would follow. Okay, it's not looking like, okay, this is, it's not looking like it right now, but in short-term trades, not in the long term, but in short-term trades, Bitcoin and Pipe did something very, obviously I know if Bitcoin's moving, the market's going to be moving, I get it, but Pipe seemed to really act how Bitcoin did pretty accurately. Now again, this is really not financial advice. Please do not trade based on solely what I say. But in my experience, when I did trade it, I used to do TA on Bitcoin and then go over to Pipe and kind of transfer the TA and then trade on that for higher returns. Like I said, I don't know how the market, you know, I don't know how the market cap's changed. I don't know how interactive that is with Bitcoin now. It's not really a trend line, is it? It's not very good, is it? This is better though, coming from the point over here. I might as well, you know what? I might as well just draw TA on Pipe at this point, even though I'm here. But Pipe's good. Pipe does give good returns, and I do like Pipe. Pipe's worked a lot of time in my favor. It seems like we're having a little bit of a squeezy squeeze right now. Well, not squeeze per se, but like we're gonna be in a bit of a squished position soon for this. So what does it seem like we're in right now? Let me just make sure I know what my chart patterns are, because I'm seeing some sort of expanding. I'm not really actually. You can see, you know, we bounced, kind of coming back now, probably, but we wouldn't surpass this bearish, you know, lower high trend line. If we did, then obviously we would be invalidating this, and you know, we wouldn't have this. So I'm actually going to do that. So I don't really see so much of a trend per se, unless we have. Okay, unless we have something. No, we don't really have head and shoulders. Okay, there's no head and shoulders. There's nothing in that regard. We do have this bear line, which isn't very good. But if market's pumping, I would expect this to be pumping. Again, I don't think this is following as well as it used to. I used to do really good trades on this with Bitcoin, but Pipe used to be really good, like I said. But it seems like we're kind of... let me draw this trend line again properly. Try and get one which is a bit consistent. So coming... Okay, so it seems like we have this here. So it seems like we have our lines, and it stopped here, probably because of some sort of, yeah, we kind of had a a bit of a support resistance area going on here, but we've surpassed that now. So probably coming back to it. A bounce now coming, giving us a nice little 6.2% move down possible if we continue to stay in this range. Again, if the market's pumping and Bitcoin actually continues to pump and prints above, we might start to break out of things. So I wouldn't want to be shorting when things are going up because that's not advisable. So I wouldn't trade Pi right now. Again, they could be doing that. I'm gonna go back to BNB though. Okay, I want to finish this TA. I'm pretty interested in BNB, especially since we have this area of interest and we do have this really nice support point. Hold on, let me get my. There it is. We have a really nice support point here as we're moving. So it seems like we're actually having. It's kind of like a bull flag, kind of. Not really, kind of. You can see we kind of, kind of had a bit of a, bounce, coming up to a bounce now. Either way, this is kind of bullish. Let me make sure that, yeah, bull flag. You could also probably suggest it's a triple top. But I wouldn't think that. The market's going up. I wouldn't expect this. I would probably expect this to come out. Means to be fair, he's really bought. And money flow's kind of coming down now. And it's due probably some sort of support test. But we've been hovering really well on this, especially this support point here. So I wouldn't expect it to dump completely. Maybe retract. To be fair, it could have some sort of retractment. But a lot of times, look, you see, we came up quite a bit, hovered, and then came up quite a bit. We're probably hovering now, coming up quite a bit again. I don't know how high these move, though. That is actually not a flag, to be fair. I'm pretty wrong on that regard. It is, I mean, you probably want to argue that this would be something bearish, but it wasn't bearish. But it wasn't triple top, to be fair. Bounce, and then it broke out. So, if we applied the same kind of movement, obviously it's probably a lot smaller now. You can see it'd be a bounce and then starting to come up to a bounce and then coming right back down and coming up. But in the difference, though, we do have this bullish trend line right here. So I think we might have a reciprocal or a duplication of kind of this movement over here. Again, I don't really think I don't think there's a flag type of pole scenario where you kind of do this. But to be fair, we could probably measure that based on what we had here. I don't think this is very viable, though. You can see we did not do that. So I think it's just a general move upwards. But, as long as we're still again, we've only bounced twice. We formed it. We've only really bounced twice off of these things. So it does depend how well we respect them. Obviously, 3 times make a pattern. If we bounce one more time off this in a proper move, then we would have a proper bullish, higher low trend line. And then we would continue to be really, really positive right now. In terms of maybe some sort of order block, if I go to here and then do this, you can see we kind of, printed, came below it, bouncing off the midpoint, above it now, hopefully coming back to test the midpoint. Similar to another scenario where we probably have another red line coming towards here to test about $700. But I would expect it to come up again a bit more for BNB. In terms of high points, well, I think I could only really, maybe some sort of Fibonacci might help. I think maybe that's the only real kind of, obviously that's not going to help actually, is it? Actually, I know how we can do this. This is a strategy I've only used once and once before. This is my coin strategy, okay? This is how you tell, based on, this is some source, right? I'm making this source up, right? This is how you tell price discovery areas which you're going to come to. So what you do is you find areas which respect price pretty well. So something like this, right? And you can see the bull trend. Okay, that's not proper really. So you see, we bounced, we had if difficulty here, and then we had kind of respecting this line here, and then bouncing off it here. Okay, so what does this allow us to have? Well, this gives us this price point, but it also gives us, this. Actually, let me make these raise. This is some proper source here. I'm gonna look at the comments in a minute. I'm seeing a lot of comments. I will look at them in a second. Boom. Okay, so this is what we've got right now. So these are some price points. Okay, so this is an experimental strategy I've just made up on the spot right now. Obviously, you'd have to test it. So I think we've got 737 as a decent resistance point. Obviously, we've got 715. Obviously, we're going to have 763 as well. Actually, let me check the comments out now. So, let me have a look. So, I can see he's touching 72 and 75. I would say 72, yeah. Let me go to the actual proper things. Let me go. Here we go. In terms of what lines, well, we've got the midpoint. Look at how well we're respecting this. 71,728. We've got 71,986, which is basically 72. Importantly, though, 72,250. 72,250, I think, is going to be really, really important for this. Obviously, we've got 74,406. I believe this was some sort of line from a pennant or something like that, which I wouldn't pay too much attention to. I think the two important ones, obviously, the top line of this breaker block, which is basically 72 as well. So I'm not really coining anything there. But as we're testing right now, 71,732 and 72, basically 250. Those are my price points. 75, I'd say if we came to something really high, 74, nearly 74.5, I would say. But 72 in a retest, I'd say so as well. I think we're coming down now, probably testing some sort of support, maybe at 71.205, and then probably a wick towards 72.240. But I don't think we're going to stay. I do think we have to test. We're going to come back to test the alt crab and test this bull market. Well, not bull market. What am I talking about? Bull trend. I think it's going to be something like we're charging up like this, and I think once we touch this area, nearly Wednesday next week, we're going to start to print, not just wick, but start to print higher and higher. Let me go through the next comments though. Good money to be made from memes. I agree. Yeah, you need to get the right ones though. Obviously, it's kind of a gamble. Opinions on Brett. You mic is so clear. Yeah, it's so much better. I hope it is anyway. Obviously, I can't really hear it. Yeah. I'll look at Brett though. What was I looking at? I was looking at B&B. So yeah, those are my price points. I'm going to finish from B&B. Then I'll go to Brett. Yeah, so I think roughly we've kind of got 736 and 763. Those are my price areas. You can't. I mean, once you're in this kind of discovery area, we've not really been as high as this like ever. As you can see, I've never really been here. I think once we're kind of in this area, you need to test some of these price points. And you need to be doing something which is based on patterns, not really so much of a. You can go look at order flow. You can go look at order flow. That is a really good way of trying to find next price points which would be high in a price discovery scenario, especially. So I could go do that. I'm not going to do that right now. I can't really be bothered. I'm not going to lie. But I think the next way Fibonacci all kind of works as well. Fibonacci does work, especially seeing those patterns. There's fib circles as well, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to use them. I believe it is a time-based, when you have like movements, up or down, but I don't really know how to use them too well. If someone, if there's someone in the chat right now who knows how to use fib circles, tell me, please. Fib time zone. Do you know what? There's a lot of fib tools I don't know how to use very well. Like I don't use them. I never use them. Maybe we can apply the fib to this area here. Maybe as high as here. You can see boom coming to here and then pumping here and then doing this, I suppose. How long is this actually? This was. Wait, let me test something here. This will bring us towards the midpoint though, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, I'm wasting time. So that's B&B. I'm going to look to Brett now. Okay, perfect. It's actually on here. Let me go to my... I don't want that. I go to here. There we go. Okay, so what's going on for this? Well, let's have a look. Got a nice little trend line here. I'm probably going to draw it to here. It's more consistent. Nice little trend line. But we also have a very nasty looking resistance point, which we're probably... we haven't really come to in a while. Whoops. It's a very, very small gradient though, unfortunately, for this. So I guess we're going to kind of... It seems like we're just slowly moving in this kind of, flow. But we've also been bouncing off here, which is bit funny. I'm actually also going to pay attention to this high point, which we'd have to print out and kind of bounce off. So Oracle in the session, yes. The session is going to be coming to a close soon, though, to be fair. I've streamed for a bit now. I'm trying to be more efficient in these streams. I've been told, it's probably a lot better if I'm a bit faster and more concise with what I say. Obviously, I've also got a new microphone you might be able to sell. Also, my light looks trash. I haven't actually looked over. The light looks a bit bad. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. Actually, it looks fine. It looks fine. Hopefully the mic's pretty good. I did ask, hopefully the volume was good. No one seemed to have said anything bad. So, hey. So, actually, you could probably also argue there was a down... not really. I don't like that. There's kind of like a mini little, lower high kind of bouncing off here. And now we might bounce off it and come upwards, but not really. I wouldn't want to argue that. There we go. There's also this. Oops, that was the wrong tool. There we go. Come to here, and then coming across now. So we've got fib levels. Have we been respecting them? We've respected this midpoint, which is pretty good. You can see here. We seem to have respected the fib level pretty well. Obviously, we're now above it, probably coming towards the next just high point in general. In general, I just think we're going to move up to the higher point of this trend. Obviously, we had a rough time in the middle here, but we're kind of just seemingly coming upwards towards this high point for here. What I will do as well, actually, is test to see if we've got anything like an order block here. We kind of do. You can see, coming back to test it here. You know what? This actually isn't a bad order block. It's not awful anyway. You can see... we came, right back to test the midpoint. Let me delete this random line here. So what's good about this is we formed it and then came right back to test as a resistance point, which is good. That is what you need to have. What you need to do anyway for order block. So good, a good resistance point. Came down, and now we were bouncing off the bottom line. Now it seems like we're coming up, probably bouncing off the 12 mark. Hopefully doing something like this, and maybe kind of having some sort of nice movement upwards. Obviously, that does depend. If that doesn't happen, and this is a simple little wick, then either we bounce off this and then come back down to our trend line, and then either do this or this, and then continue to come upwards. So, what do I think about this? I think I don't know if we move up anymore. I don't know if this is just a random wick upwards, and then we're just going to come back down to our trend line down here and continue to come upwards. But it does, after we formed this, it seemed like we also had kind of a bottom range down here, as you can see, where we kind of had, a lot of buy. So it seems like we might actually, instead of following this, this expanding triangle, or whatever, or expanding triangle, or ascending triangle, sorry, we're actually just in a range in general. So what do I expect for Brett? Well, in the coming, this is the 1 hour, so probably in the coming, 8 hours, whatever, 5 hours, probably nearly a 7% move down. If I go to the daily though quickly, give you more of a general TA. It seems like we do have this good trend line, which we've been respecting. So maybe a larger retractment though. Does depend on what the market does and if it respects it. But you can see it's not really. It's been 26th of March. So it's not very old. And what happens with these quite younger coins is that they don't necessarily always have to respect the market as well. You see, we saw that with beer. There was general positivity in the market, and it just pumped like 4 times, and the market didn't pump 4 times. So in that kind of general regard, you can, in general, move how the market's moving. As you can see here, we're in this bullish, higher low. We have higher lows, but we can move. We can pump and dump, kind of move, not necessarily as the market moves. So what I could expect over the coming days, maybe towards Monday, possibly, or maybe Sunday, Monday time, we could come back towards about 8,720, maybe about 880 for Brett to come test back here. Either way, even if we don't and we just kind of crab, it would be a Bart Simpson. We'd come back down towards 8456 anyway. So let me get short position. So if you short it now, and let's say you had full conviction, you really want to short it, you bring it to about 880 back here. There we go. So you probably put your stop loss just above here. You'd have a good risk reward. 2.5 is pretty nice. About 25% move down over the daily anyway. This is over a couple of days. I think it would have to come back to, you can see, like, we've really been respecting this. This is a really well-respected bull thing. Oh, but you had a consecutive amount of time where you moved, so it might not necessarily do this. This is what I'm saying. You know, maybe put your buy order when we've broken out of this trend. So maybe over here, like towards the latter end of Thursday, and then putting it at a price which is a bit below, and then putting your stop loss like above somewhere here. So you still get a good return, but it's more safer to know that you've broken out your trend, because you know we could move. We don't necessarily have to move. You know, as the market's being bullish, you know these over here were 2 consecutive times where you had like a couple days where you retracted back to your you know this bull line, but then you had this really big one, which is the previous one, where we had nearly basically a week of positivity where we didn't come back to touch the high low kind of lines here. So we could have a scenario where we do that, we've pumped and we're kind of doing this, and then we come back down over here. So we might not necessarily come back down. So if you were to do this, and again in a bullish market, selling is might not be the best idea. Obviously that's not financial advice, but I'd rather short this here. So if not, you could long it and then have like 17%, but I would wait probably let me go back to the short time frame. I would wait until we print above this order block and we bounce. So maybe buying at about 12,358 if I get a long position. And then let's say it came towards, I don't even know where it comes towards. Again, this is price discovery, so let's get our handy dandy imaginary strategy which we've just made up. One where it respects all of it really nicely. Whoops. So coming from this low point, I suppose. This respects pretty well. So I'm going to use that here. See, bounce there, using a support down here. Pretty good. Okay, I'd argue that. So the next price point would be about 13,923 as my guess, which is actually where our line came to, which is crazy. But anyway, the long would be about here, maybe a retractment a bit more, maybe 380. Obviously longing there, probably the short getting out about just below the order block, or below the midpoint if you don't want to wick down, so maybe just about here. So a good risk reward nonetheless. So again, I don't like doing these TAs where I say it could do this, it could do that. However, we're in a difficult scenario where we either print above or below this order block. But again, like I said, I would short outside of this range. I mean, you could be even safer and short down here. You'd also get a 17.77. I'd short, below the order block to make sure that you don't come to test it as support and then come down. But I do think we have to come to test this point at some point, as we've already tested it, but probably a longer term. So, I'd probably wager to say that we do have the movement upwards before we come down. And if we did come down, it wouldn't be as low as 18 or point, what is it, 0.088. It would be a lot higher. But at that time, if this did long, you could put a sell order at 13.80 instead. But again, it is not financial advice. I just want to give as much as I can in terms of the options of what's going on. But it's not like we're not really in a permanent. It's not like we're in a really easy trend. However, you could also argue we're kind of in this ascending triangle scenario, coming from a low point. So this is valid. So as long as this continues, coming up towards the morning of Friday, we could pump. So I'd wagering more on the side that we pump and surpass this. Coming up towards here. So I'd probably want to long probably above the order block to make sure that you're not longing at a really rough time. I also do think we would come towards 12,860, print above it, and then come down to some point of support as well. So again, let me delete some of these lines though, because it's kind of rough to see what's going on. So yeah, I think if we do surpass this, we have to come to test the order block. So maybe see, we're trying to wick it now. Maybe put like an alert in that we surpass it and then long at the midpoint of the order block, and then come upwards. I think we come up above this print and then probably test some sort of support point and then continue upwards, because that there's going to be sells up here for sure. So come upwards, kind of some maybe 1250 support point and then come upwards. Maybe possibly using this as a support point and then coming upwards towards here. And then I'd want to short at some point, because obviously we've got, we'd have, kind of this range, and then I'd probably suggest we'd come down at some point, down here. But again, on the longer time frame anyway, as I've already said, I would want to test this, higher low, kind of bull trend line. So it depends on when we do it. But I wager more against the long scenario. So I think buy order. I've spent so much time on this. I've realized I'm really not being concise, but probably buy order at 12,345. Be careful of a wick. Maybe at 1240, and then nice little 10%. Depends on what you do. If you did a 10x long, depends on what you want to do. If you buy, you can just buy as well. You could get a good return on that. The short would be obviously stopping probably just a bit below the order block. If we did print about here, you'd have to be careful again as well. But yeah, I think that's it for Brett. So in terms of your coin which might go up, I know you asked any coins which might go up in the short term. I think this might go up over the next coming days. I'd have to do TA on lower time frames to find something which goes up within today. But Brett looks like it might go up soon. Towards I don't know what the market cap is out of this actually. See, the technicals are saying buy as well. Yeah, I mean, I think we might be showing signs of kind of breaking this and coming upwards. So yeah, might be a long soon for Brett. I think that's pretty much it though. I've waffled actually a really long time on that one. So let me bring up the Bitcoin chart really quickly just to show what's going on. Yeah, we're I'm not surprised we're bouncing off this. This is a really strong line to be bouncing off. But we're still going upwards. We're coming back towards 78, 30, 850 maybe, somewhere here. But anyway, I'm going to move on now. Thank you all for joining. It's been a nice stream, actually. There's actually been people here. Some streams, I'm still figuring out the times. Used to do this at 8 or 9 p.m. Obviously, trying to do it a bit earlier now to see if actually people come on. And it's easier for most people. But, thank you all for joining. Thank you for the comments as well. Thank you for actually, saying, coins and whatnot. And hopefully the tier was good. I'm trying to keep, like I said, throughout the stream, trying to keep it a bit more concise. Because I'm aware, in some streams I do waffle on one coin. I kind of slipped there on the Brett one. But I'm pretty positive. I don't think there shouldn't be a lot of negativity. Again, as I do mention a lot of times, lower cap coins and markets, and there's not a necessity for every single coin to follow the market as a whole 100% of the time. Coins, they are their own coins, especially with lower cap markets. As I explained when I was talking about Brett, I believe I was talking about Brett, that you can be moving as the market's moving. But as Beer did, for example, it pumped like at least 4 times throughout the time, Bitcoin's pumped once. So you can move how, it might not necessarily move how the market does. It could move how the market does, but it might do more than the market is doing. So just be aware that there are moments like that where things can happen, which are more than the market as a whole. So yeah, but again, like I said, going back to my point, I think as a whole, we're looking pretty bullish in general. But there might be, before we continue to go up, there's going to be some sort of retractment in general for the market as a whole. But again, Brett, I think that's going to go up. I think Bitcoin, will it go up as high? Maybe a wick or two, but not as much as I think Brett would. So again, coins are individuals at the end of the day. So thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy and you want to see more of it and you're not subscribed or following, scroll down, click it. It's free. It's free for you and it helps us as well. It helps the algorithm. If you, what else is there? I think I'm going to stream probably Monday, or maybe Sunday as well, actually, depending on how fast we move in what direction. Saturday, I'm also streaming, obviously, with Mike. That's the big stream. That is, the proper stream when we have all the sound effects and the proper music and, kind of everything in general, the proper cameras. We're in the office. That's the proper stream. If you want to see us at our best prime, you're going to want to see us on Saturday. But other than, thank you. Really do appreciate it. No donations are necessary. But if you feel inclined that you thought these guys did a really good job, this guy did a really good job, they do a really good job in general, then, donations are always more than welcome. We really would appreciate it. But nonetheless, thank you. Thank you for TA. Hopefully the TA was good. I think the TA was good. I normally think, like I said, conciseness and whatnot, still working on it. So thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. I will see you Saturday along with Mike. Mike will probably see you tomorrow on his morning streams. And as an individual, I will probably either be Sunday, Monday here on... probably looking at the charts, seeing what the market... I will also look at the charts on Saturday as well, in our normal Oracle TA time. So, yeah, Thank you, and I'll see you in the next stream. Goodbye.
Come on, BTC.